Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So in the last video, we learned about Angular routing and lazy loading our modules. So now we're going to talk about Angular services. So if you want to create a service, the whole purpose of you doing that, at least for this tutorial, is in order for you to interact with an API endpoint and receive a response. So that way you can talk to a server, make a request, receive a response. That's basically it. Okay. So how do we do that? We're going to pull up our terminal here. We're going to type in ng followed by space followed by the G for generate, followed by another space followed by the S for service, and then we need to give it a path. So here we're going to say Disney slash services, which does not exist yet, followed by a slash, followed by, let's call this the Disney service. Then we'll just press enter and let it do its thing, and you'll notice immediately it created two files. So the first one is a disney.service.spectest file, or spec.ts file, which is a tester file. And then you have the service.ts file, which is the actual service. So if we look at our IDE here, it also created a folder for us called services under the Disney directory. And inside of there are the two files that we just talked about. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this Disney service, and this is where we begin writing our code in order for us to interact with an API endpoint. So for this tutorial, I have prepared, well, not me, but I have looked into a Disney API.dev website, and they provide a free API here, which we can access. I was able to get this from GitHub somewhere, so I was doing a little digging and I found a free open source, well, not open source, but a free API. And this is the data it's going to return to us. So we have tons of data here, and it's all about Disney characters from what you can see here. Now, that being said, let's get back to the code. So what we want to do is we are going to start by using some dependency injection in order for us to inject the HTTP client dependency. Make sure it gets imported at the top here. So in my IDE, this happens automatically, but in your IDE, it may be different. So if it doesn't get imported on your IDE, just make sure it's an import HTTP client from @angular /common/HTTP. Okay, great. So that is our first step. Now the following step that we have to do is, now that we have this Disney service here, on our Disney module, since that's what we're working in, we want to add a comma after the imports. We want to type in providers. That is an array, and we are going to stick in that Disney service. So again, in my case, my IDE imports it automatically. In your case, it may be different. So make sure that import is up top for you as well. And then finally, we want to add into the imports here, we want to import the HTTP client module. So again, with the import at the top, mine is automatic, yours may not be. So make sure your HTTP client module gets imported. It is part of the Angular common library. Great. So now that we have this Disney module all set up and configured, we're going to exit out of there and we are going to jump into this Disney service. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a method here. And this method is going to be an asynchronous method. So we're going to say async followed by the name of our method, which is going to be get characters. Inside of here, we're going to return this .http .get, because it's a get request, and we have to pass in the URL here. So I'm just going to grab the URL from here. I'm going to copy that. I am going to paste it in here like so. And then at the very end of the parentheses, we are going to put in a .to promise. Okay. Now we have to type in our doc blocks here because we want to make sure our code is always clean and organized. And here we're going to say get characters, because that is in fact what this function does. It gets the characters from the API. Now, just a side note for you guys, this here is not something that you should be doing in a production application. So generally the URL here would be more dynamic and it would be living inside of your environments file. So I'm not going over environments in this particular video, but just keep that in mind. So for the sake of this tutorial and for the sake of simplicity, I am leaving it here for the time being. But now that we have this Disney service set up, just so you guys know, we are going to be able to make a request to the API and receive a response. So let's go and do that now. So how we do that is we go into this character component, into the character component.ts file. And again, using dependency injection, we're going to say private Disney. And then that is when we are going to import the Disney service like so. Make sure that import is at the top. Mine is automatic, yours may not be. And then we're going to convert this ng-on-init into an asynchronous function. Now that we have that set up, we're going to create one more function here, and we're going to say async get characters. And here we're going to reference the, well, before we even do that, we're going to create a try catch block. So the reason we're creating a try catch block, and let me just log the error in case there's an error. The reason we're doing that is because we're making an asynchronous request. We don't know if we're going to receive an error response or if it's going to be a successful response with data. Very important stuff. Always put your asynchronous requests around a try catch block if you can. So now that we have that here, we have this get characters. We actually want to make the call. So we're going to say await this dot Disney dot get characters. So before the await, we want to create a const variable, and we're going to call this Disney API. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to make a call to the Disney API and get back results. And then we're just going to console.log this Disney API just in case. And then finally, we are going to say await this dot get characters. So let me just explain real quick what's happening. So in this character component, once it loads up, the first thing that fires off is the constructor, followed by the ng-on-init lifecycle method. And then inside of here, we're making a call to this get characters function, which in turn makes a call using the service that we injected up here. So it makes a call to the API and it waits for the response to come back. If the response is an error, it's going to hit this catch block here and it's going to log the error. If the response is successful, it's going to store the data inside of this Disney API variable and it's going to display it on the console for us. So that is how we use a service. I am going to quickly open up my application here. I'm going to inspect the element and open the console for you guys. And here you will see that in the console, oops, let me just open this up here. So in the console, we have an object with data. So we were able to successfully make a request to the Disney API and receive a response. If you like this kind of content, make sure you hit me with a like, comment below, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll be making more of this content. In the next video, we'll continue on with this application and we'll actually begin parsing the data that we got back. So I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.